And check in your notebook if you have a section under bar graph or graphing. Do we have for graphing? Okay. Okay. Just a couple things that we're going to put for graphing that you need to know. There's a couple different types of graphs that we're going to be dealing with, or that you will deal with. One is a bar graph. Now, as far as in your notes, what you need to know about a bar graph is that it is used to compare. So if you're comparing one group to another, or one type of pet, different types of pets, things like that, you're going to need to know that bar graphs are used to compare. A second type of graph is a line graph. The purpose of a line graph is to show change over time. For example, you would want to use a line graph if you were graphing sales from one month to the next month to the next month over a period of time. Another type of graph that you may see is a histogram. Now, a histogram is a special kind of bar graph. A histogram is not as specific as a regular bar graph. It doesn't give individual details. It uses what we call intervals for each bar. Yes, Landon?
We have one that's graphing, but it's like the X and Y coordinates.
Okay, this is something different, okay?
What should we write for the title?
Types, how about we do for this, types of graphs then? So just,
I can fill up my random space that
okay, types of graphs, just so we can differentiate. Now, a couple things that you must include in your graph. No matter if it's a bar graph, if it's a line graph, if it is a histogram, if it is a line plot, and any type of graph that you might be doing, one thing you must have is a title. You must know what the graph is about. Colton, could you please write this down? That's why we have notes. We also need to have two labels. One label down here and a bar graph to tell what the bars represent. And you also need a label going up the side telling the number of whatever it is. Maybe number of students, maybe the number of pets, whatever the graph is about. for your homework today, your homework will be, each graph will have a variety of points that it's worth. One point will be that you put a title. One point will be for each label. You need to say what these bars, and this today we're going to talk about bar graphs. You need to tell me what the bars represent. And then you also have to have the label for the bar that would tell how many.
What if you put the wrong title on?
You'll be able to tell. Typically, it tells you what the title is. It'll be all spelled out for you. It's just a matter of when you make the graph itself that you include the title. Okay, and you'll understand. You'll see whenever with the homework. They typically will tell you what the title is, what the main topic is. Now, with the labels going on the side, a couple rules that I want you to follow. Okay? When counting when determining how much you're going to count by, this is what we call the interval. The interval that you're going to count by is determined by the range. And that simply means the difference between the largest and the smallest, or how far up your graph needs to go. When we're doing a graph, our graph, we want it to go up anywhere from a minimum of 4 to a maximum of 10 lines. We do not want a graph in which we only go up 1 line, or 1 or 2 lines, or even up to a maximum of 3 lines. We don't want that. We want a graph that goes up anywhere from 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to a maximum of 10 lines. Okay? And we'll do an example to show you exactly what I'm talking about. But we want to use between 4 and 10 lines for the height of each of the bars. Oh.
What if we accidentally go over 10?
Then you need to change your interval, what you're counting by. Okay? Because if you get too high, get more than 10 lines, it's very hard to read. It can be deceiving, or it could. It's just not very. It's not appropriate. Okay. So let's do an example. We're going to do an example using the color of shirts that you have on today. Okay. So. For blue shirts, I see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blue shirts. For black, I see 1, 2, 3. For red, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for green, I count yours as blue. For gray, we will have 1. And white, we have 1. Okay, so we have 7, 12, 13, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so there's my data. Now, when collecting data, you might use what we call a tally table. Okay, a tally table, this is just so you know what a tally table is. Instead of having numbers, we would have 4 tally marks. Instead of having the number 3, we would have 3 tally marks. Instead of the number 5, we would have 5 tally marks. Instead of 1, we have 1 tally mark, and instead of 1, we have 1 tally mark. Okay? So, that would be a tally table. What?
That's not how you rate 5, the tally.
1, 2, 3. You can do it that way, or if you want to do it like that, that's fine. Okay, either way. Okay. So now, we have gathered our data. Now we're going to make a graph. So, when we make our graph, the first thing that we want to do is, we need to have a label or title. What title would we use for this?
Colors of shirts.
Colors of shirts. So we have to have a title. What label would we want to put down here?
How many?
Nick? Alyssa? Colors. Okay, so we're going to write the word colors. And you guys should be writing this down in your notes. The label going up the side. What label would we have going up the side? What do you think?
Number of students.
Number of students. Okay, so now we have our labels done. The next thing is we need to put our information. As far as the colors, we're going to put blue, black, red, gray, and white. The next thing we have to decide is, what are we going to count by? Well, what is the highest number of students? 5. So what do you think we want to count by? Keep in mind, we want to use up between 4 to 10 lines. So what do you think we want to count by?
5.
If we count by 5, that means we're going to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And in that situation, we would go up how many lines? 1. We want to go up 4 to 10 lines. So do we want to count by 5s? No, we don't want to count by 5s.
2s.
Colton,
2s.
if we count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We want to go up 4 to 10 lines. How many lines, if we count by 2s, how many lines are we going to go up, Dakota?
2.
Actually, 2.5 or 3. Does that fit between our 4 to 10 lines? No, so in this situation, we don't want to count by 2s. Dakota, what do you want to count by? By 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, we're going to go up how many lines? 5 lines. Does that fit between our 4 and 10? Yes. So now, we're going to do the bars. For the blue, we're going to go up 4. So we draw a bar that goes up to the 4. For the black, we're going to go up 3. For the red, we're going to go up 5. For the gray, we're going to go up 1. And for the white, we're going to go up 1. Now, a couple things that you're going to want to take notice to. Or the main thing is this. With a bar graph, there is a gap between each bar. We want to make sure that we have a gap between the bars. Okay? Let's do another graph. This time our graph is going to be Okay? First of all, dogs. Okay? Donnie, if you have dogs, raise your hand. Donnie, how many dogs?
1.
Wyatt.
1.
Declan, how many dogs?
1.
Johnny.
2. 1.
Once you told me, put your hand down. Autumn.
1.
Landon.
2.
Shayna.
1.
Alyssa.
2.
Johnny. Or sorry, Colton.
2.
You have a dog?
Yep.
How many? 2. And Dakota. Oh, sorry. 3.
Oh my god.
Evan.
1.
Okay. Cats. Cats. Johnny, how many?
1.
Declan. No, that you have right now. This right. Johnny.
1.
Quiet.
1.
Autumn.
2.
Shayna.
2.
Alyssa.
2.
Colton.
4.
Holy moly. Dakota.
4.
Oh my gosh. And Evan.
2.
Okay. Fish. Steph.
2.
Aiden.
10.
10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Landon.
16.
Okay.
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
That's
Wyatt.
not actually. I have more than that. But I'm not.
2.
Dakota.
I'm just gonna go with 7.
7. Oh my God. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Okay, rabbits. Now, rabbits. Donnie.
1.
Colton.
1.
Anybody else have rabbits?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now, if we're going to make a graph with this, first thing we have is our label. What would our label be?
I was gonna say I don't have enough room to write this.
Go to the next page. What would our label be?
Heads.
Pets.
I have a horse.
That would be our title. What label down here would we have? What do you think? Pets. Same thing. Up the side.
Number of students.
Is it the number of students?
Oh wait, number of.
Number of animals. Okay, we have to understand we're not counting the number of students because we took all the number of pets. Okay, so now once we've done that, we're going to each bar. One's going to be for dogs, one's going to be for cats, one's going to be for fish, and one's going to be for rabbits. Now, how high do we need to go? We need to go up to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 37. So, what do you think we want to count by?
Maybe 5.
Maybe 5. Okay, so if we count by 5. We would have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Oh, I need one more. 40. Does that fit our quota between 4 to 10 lines? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does that fit? Does that match? So we can count by 5. Is there anything else we can count by? If we count by 6s, we would have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. Okay, we're going to go up how high? We said we're going to go up to what? 37. So that would mean we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does that fit? That does.
You can count by tens.
If we count by tens, we would have 10, 20, 30. Would we go up to our 4 lines?
Yeah, there's 4.
No, it wouldn't make it to the 4th line. It'd be between this and this. It would be only 3 and a half, 3 and a little more than 3 lines.
Oh, I see. 10.
So we don't want to go. We won't want to count by tens. Okay? Huh? But our information is going up to 37. Okay? The bars have got to go up between 4 to 10 lines. Okay? So we want to count by 5s or 6s. Either one. Okay, it won't matter. Let's just count by 5s. So now we have dogs. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20 dogs. For cats, 5, 10, 15, 20, 24. It goes up not quite to the 25. For the fish, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 37. So it's going to go a little bit under halfway between 35 and 40. And then the rabbit, we have 2. So it's going to go just under halfway to the first line. Now, if we look at the graph, when our interval was 1, it was easy to tell how many blue, how many black, how many red, how many gray, how many white. It was very easy, right? Because there was nothing in between. As our interval gets bigger, it becomes a little less obvious. Like here, what does this line represent, this bar? Well, it's between 20 and 25. It's pretty close to 25, so it's probably about 24. For the fish, where exactly is it? It's between 35 and 40. Okay, now obviously I had to squeeze my lines a little bit just to save space, but it's not as obvious. So the bigger you're counting by, the bigger the interval, the less accurate your information is. So that's why we want to count by the smallest number that we possibly can, but still fit in our 4 to 10 lines. Does that make sense? Because the more you're counting by, the less you're exactly sure where these bars fall in line when it comes between the bar or between the lines. Okay? But we want to make sure we have our title, we have our labels. We want to use between 4 to 10 lines in your graphing. Okay? Any questions? Okay, your homework. Yes.